Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about SDXL TURBO. The name kind of reminds me of like Street Fighter from back in the day, like Turbo Edition or something.
SDXL TURBO.
So yeah, Stability AI put out a new model that's supposed to help generate images faster. And that's kind of a trend that we've been seeing lately. People developing ways to generate images faster and using less resources, less GPU power. And I think that's awesome because that makes it more accessible for people who can't really afford a 4090 GPU. So let's take a look at how this works. So one thing that I want to mention is that right here it says that this model is meant for research purposes. So they don't really want you using it for commercial use. So just be aware of that. I mean, at least not yet. So you do have to download a model, and I'll put everything you need in the description. We come here to where it says files and versions, and you can download any of these two models and put it in your checkpoint folder. I'll also put a link where you can find some workflows like these right here, and you got some live painting workflows and some IPAdapter workflows. So you can check those out. All right, so this is one of the workflows that I mentioned earlier. And again, don't have super high expectations for this. This model was given to us just to play around with and get a little glimpse of what lies ahead when it comes to generating really fast AI images. Oh, yeah, and wait to the end of the video because I have a really fun workflow that KIJAI shared with us on Discord. So just make sure your model's loaded in. It's gonna be in your checkpoint folder, like I said earlier. If for some reason you're getting red nodes or something's missing, then you can always go to your manager and update everything. That will probably solve the issue that you're running into. So what we wanna do is we want this to auto queue and we want this to continually generate. And we do that by going up here to where it says extra options. And then we check this little box next to auto queue and then we click on queue prompt. So right now it's auto generating. So I can type in whatever I want here. Like for example, Spider-Man, portrait, masterpiece, and you see the results in real time. That's gonna be crazy. I tested typing stuff in the negative prompt and nothing really happened. So I think there's nothing that really changes when you change the negative prompt. One of the things you can mess around with is this turbo scheduler. If you put up the steps like this, you start to get different results. This is the great thing about typing it and seeing it in real time because literally this comma made the difference. Look at, I take away the comma. And the comma made the difference in this case. Sometimes we don't know what the prompt is doing. Sometimes we type in a bunch of stuff and we wait 5 seconds for something to generate and then we go back and type in again and then we wait another 5 seconds to see what comes out. And with this, it's just like, just type it in and then you see it. You see the results. It's really, really fun. Let's see what the CFG does when we bring it up. Yeah. Cool. When it comes to the resolution, you kind of have to stick to 512 by 512. If you try to go higher, it's not going to be really good quality because I think it was trained to be in 512 by 512, at least for now. Another thing you can do is you can add an IP adapter, which will give it like a style, kind of acts like a LoRa, where you put an image down here and it's going to give it a style like you're seeing right here. And so if we auto queue this and then we run it, and here I can play around with the weight of the IP adapter and see what's happening. So this does take a little bit of processing, so it's not as fast as when you do it without it. But I think it's still cool because I just play with this, just make a slight change. And you start to see how the IP adapter is affecting the final output. See how the noise is affecting it. What this really does help with is helps you understand what's happening with these parameters. What's really happening when you change a setting or when you change a word in the prompt or change a letter in the prompt. I think this is really cool for people that are really just trying to understand how the system works. And like myself, like I don't fully understand it, but like playing around with these weights, I start to see the real effect of what's happening. So here I have another image that I put in the IP adapter. So let me play around with the weight so that we can see how the weight is affecting the final output. The lower we go, the more it's going to look like a prompt. So yeah, this is super cool, super useful because it just generates things so fast. I'll make sure to include this workflow in the description as well. And if you want to make this even better and just upscale it a little bit, I included these nodes in here. I got this from a workflow that Olivio Saricas shared on his YouTube. He made a video about this as well. And he included these nodes in one of the workflows to improve the quality of the image. So in the workflow that I provided, all you got to do is just press Control and then just highlight all the nodes and press Control B to remove the bypass, because right now it was being bypassed. That's why it looked kind of purplish. And now when you run this and you get the results that you really like, you should be able to get a more refined version of this right here. This is a little bit of a better example actually, because then you can see how the eyes, you know, the eyes look really bad here. They look way better here. And obviously you can mess around with the parameters to maybe improve that as well. And of course, if you want to save this image, you got this save node right here, and you don't want to turn this on unless you're already going to get the final image out. You don't want to be having this on while you're experimenting and just auto queuing, because then you're going to be saving all these into a folder and you're going to have a folder full of images, and you don't want that. So when you're ready to export it and save it, then you can, I think this is muted and not bypass. So if it's muted, you press Control M and then it's going to be unmuted. So there's a difference between muting and bypass, by the way. Bypass pretty much allows the node to be ignored and it just keeps going down the path that it's going. But if you put mute, then it's gonna stop right there, because then it's like, okay, where do we go from there? So mute, typically you mute things that are at the very end so it doesn't interrupt anything. So just be aware of that. And there's already people figuring out really cool workflows like this one right here, where you can pretty much go higher than 512 if you want to. But obviously it's not going to be rendering as fast. Like for example, right here, I'm going 1024 by 1024 auto queue, and I put Spider-Man. See, it's not as fast, but it's still quite fast nonetheless. It also allows you to use any of your Excel models with this. So people are just trying to optimize it as much as possible. I'll include the link to the CIVITAI workflow in the description. I believe this is just the beginning of what's coming very soon. As promised, I have this other workflow that was shared by KIJAI on Discord. So the fun thing about this workflow that it does a little bit of screen capture and a little section here on this window, and you can generate from that window AI images. All right, so I put in a prompt. Now when I drag this image down here, actually, you're gonna start to see it being generated there. And I am using the KIJAI control net, so it is a little bit slower than usual, but that's kind of the only way I can get this to have like details like this. KIJAI actually did something really cool. Let me actually pull it up right now. So KIJAI did this really cool thing where he was playing Doom and it was generating images at the same time. Check this out. I know this might not be impressive for some of you, but imagine when we can add like 3 control nets to this and then play something like this and see it from a whole different perspective in a new way, you know? That's gonna be crazy. So yeah, we have advanced so much this year. I remember last year I started doing this whole AI thing, and I remember like everything looks so rough, and look at where we're at today, you know, just generating things within half a second. And imagine where we're gonna be at a year from now. That's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So thank you guys for watching. Like always, take care, God bless, and peace.
Hey!